हेलो डॉक्टर अशोक। Dr. Sarup sir. Hello, Dr. Sarup. Sarup sir. Sir, just to you enable your video and audio, sir. Okay. No, sir, no. People are joining 6:30 exactly. I will start the program. I want to take a screenshots of display, so that's why. Yeah, you enable your video as well as audio. So all participants are requested to enable your video. All participants are requested to enable your video. All the participants, please enable your videos. Now I request all the participants, please enable your videos. So all the participants requested to enable your videos, please. We want to make a screenshot for the photograph session. Participants, the remaining participants, please enable your video. Okay, good evening to one and all. It's my pleasure to introduce our chief guest who is going to deliver the today's topic, recent trends and developments in semiconductor optoelectronics by Dr. Sarup Kumar Pandey. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Patna, Bihar. His area of interests are optoelectronics and nanoelectronics, microelectronic and mechanical systems, MEMS, and optical communication, especially in semiconductor optoelectronic devices. He has 76 reputed journals in national and international level, and he has completed Group 4 Alloy GESN, germanium silicon based nanostructure sensor detectors for near and far mid infrared applications under TechCube. Welcome you, sir. Hand over to you. Over to you, sir, please.
Hello, am I audible to all of you?
Yeah, yes, sir. Your voice is audible.
Okay. So let me share the screen. Okay. Is the screen visible to all of you?
Yeah, yes, sir. It is visible.
So may I start now?
Yeah, yes, please, sir.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. I am Dr. Saurabh Kumar Pandey, working as an assistant professor in electrical engineering department at IIT Patna. So I would like to thank the organizers to invite for the invitation and sharing my views and discussion onto the topic of recent trends and developments in semiconductor optoelectronics. So we know in the modern era, with the advancement of technology, the research areas in the field of optoelectronics devices has found a great potential. As we begin with the 21st century, the micro nanoscience and technology are progressing at a rapid pace and making a revolutionary contributions in each domain, including material science, physics, nanoelectronics, and other domains, interdisciplinary areas. Although the nanoscience and technology have progressed rapid fronts, but the most impressive research has been done in the field of semiconductor technology. Okay, so before starting my presentation, I'd like to discuss about my institute. The Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Patna, was established in 2008, an institute of national importance Patna. Bihar is a land of Lord Buddha, Mahavir and Guru Gobind Singh. Even eminent personalities like Aryabhatta, Chanakya, Chandragupta belongs to this place. IIT Patna was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, on 25th July 2015. IIT Patna is sprawled in the campus of 510 acres. There's 10 departments and 3 centers. Okay, here is my plan of talk. First, I will discuss about the motivation behind these optoelectronics devices. What are the various development trends? What are the different sort of optoelectronics devices which are known for our day-to-day life and even used for different applications. Further, I will be covering about the various characteristics and consequences. Then I will discuss about one more emerging area aspect of biophotonics. Further, I will deal with the nanoelectronics impact on society and its challenges, and finally the concluding remark. Okay, so in all these micro nanoelectronics, optoelectronics domain, the base, the foundation is the physics one. So I started from the recent ancient times itself, that whole decades the things have been divided into various ages like Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age. Further, we have moved to the Ice Age also. So what will be the next concerned domain or next concerned age which will be going to have a more impact in our day-to-day life? That is the information age. Now the question comes, what do you mean by information age? Information, data. A famous scientist says that the data is the new oil. Basically, the way of transmission, generation, everything is increasing at such a pace that information is available at every place and everywhere, at any time, at any cost. So basically, the cost of transmission, storage, and the data processing are decreasing at a rapid pace, extremely fast pace, and information that is available at any time, any place, and to everyone.
Sir, one request, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I think you can plug in once again your speaker, sir.
Okay.
It's like some air disturbance it is happening. You will unplug and once again you have to plug in.
Okay, just a minute.
Yeah, now it is okay, sir.
Okay, fine.
Fine. Now it's fine. You can proceed. Thank you so much.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption or disturbance from my side. So yes, I was talking about the data information. So basically, the cost of transmission or storage or processing or transfer of data has been decreased at a very fast pace. So we all know that the data is available at any time, at any place, and to everyone. So whatever the information, that sharing, that transfer, everything has been done in a quick movement, in a couple of seconds, so that people get the information at any at every aspects or at any aspects, basically. So information and knowledge is nowadays become a capital assets. Right now people have bigger demand from the smaller products. I'll give an example of a mobile system. So basically, from the last few decades, as the technology advanced, the features, the facilities have been advanced, and even the size, the cost, and the performance have been improved at a rapid pace. So all of these things are possible only because of the revolutionary ideas or the different aspects on which people are working to improve the technological approach. Now you will be surprised to know that basically all sort of devices that make a revolution that brought a revolution in this industry or for different domain applications, including transistor, maser, laser, integrated circuits, LEDs, optical fiber, solar cells, all were invented by the physicists. Like transistor, that was invented by Bardeen, Brattain, and Shockley. Shockley is considered as the father of transistor in 1947. Maser, that stands for microwave amplification for stimulated emission and radiation, that was discovered by the Towns and Shallow in 1958. And laser, that is the light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, was first discovered by the Theodore Maiman in 1960, first pink ruby laser. Integrated circuit, Robert Noyce and Jack Kilby was the inventor of the integrated circuits. And further, the different sort of optoelectronics devices, these all are invented or discovered by the physicists for their top-notch inventions. Now, what do you mean by the term optoelectronics? So it is an amalgamation of two different terms, opto, that is the optics part, and electronics part. So here we are doing the study and application of electronics devices which deals or which interacts with the light. That means generation, transmission, modulation, detection of light. It is related with all those aspects. So obviously we are merging the two different important aspects, that is the optics part, that is the photonics part, and the electronics part, to develop, to invent, to study about the new exciting technologies. Okay, now we'll discuss about these optoelectronics domain in some more details, including optics part like photonics, photons, or the optics. We all know about the basics laws, and the photons part, the Einstein's equation, and the different aspects of optics one. Similarly, the electronics part, that involves with the several aspects related to the electrons part, and how we are dealing with the mechanism of conversion of a light into electricity and vice versa. So that means basically how the things are improvising as we are moving from the electrical to optical domain. So as we know, if we can say the present is analog, the future will be obviously the digital one. If the present is core, the future will be the interdisciplinary part. And if the present is electrical, then future will be optical. So obviously there are various prospects, various advantages related to the optical domain, including high bandwidth, lower attenuation, small size, lightweight, signal security, and so on. So these all aspects are utilized in the form of devices for various applications, like the optical storage part. We know about whatever we are using in the terms of this computer system domain, communication part, in a display part, in a publishing part, control part. So basically this optoelectronics domains finds its application from ground to space level. So can you tell me how many kinds of displays only are available into the market? So you'll be surprised to know that there are more than 500 type of displays are only available into the market, which deals with a different aspects, different features or characteristics of the displays part. Likewise, I'll give an example. The ancient time period means about 100 years ago, generally people were using mechanical relays as an element. Then after it was replaced by the CRT tubes, the vacuum tubes, CRT tubes, and further which were moved to the transistor part. Then we have came for the LCDs, liquid crystal displays, further which was replaced by LEDs. Then we have came to OLEDs, that is organic LEDs. And right now, or the future, is the quantum LEDs. So basically, people are working in this domain to improvise the performance at in a cost-effective manner. So the motivation behind these devices or this domain is including the three different configurations which are affecting our day life, and that is even beneficial for technological aspects also, including healthcare, that is the medical system, even our lifestyle part, that is day-to-day consumer electronics, household part, and the technology part. So some of the important applications or the motivation behind these optoelectronics devices that works in the different domains, including spintronics, biophotonics, and the other aspects includes the various applications. Either it is related with the lighting part, it is related with the automotive application, biomedical applications, computer system applications, or any sort of interdisciplinary domain or a field. So the various sort of light sources that we are going to study or we're going to discuss includes the transmitter and the detector part aspect. The transmitter and the based onto that, the various sort of materials that are utilized in the system for building, for developing these sort of devices includes the different configuration of materials like third, fifth group material, second, sixth group material, and the fourth group material. So obviously there are various prospects onto which we are definitely choosing those sort of material and to develop that particular device which will give a better optimum performance within a limited cost or cost effective manner. Okay, so before going to discuss about the optoelectronics part, I'd like to discuss about some important inventions or the devices that has made a boom or revolution in our semiconductor industry. So the first thing related with the instrument part or the system was started with the invention of vacuum tubes in 1904 that consist of or utilized in the various aspects, but obviously the consequences, the limitations related to those devices were they were unreliable, very large, huge size, very high costly, and even having a very high power consumption related to the system. So basically the boom came into the industry, the semiconductor industry, when the Shockley, Bardeen and Brattain invented BJT at Bell Labs in 1947. Besides that, the optoelectronics also plays an important role in the telecommunication part. As of now, we know that at maximum places and at most of the working places, the optical fiber system been laid out and to have a better communication between among the workstations or among the different locations, better or faithful information transfer. So how their revolution comes into the lighting? At first, at the ancient time, people were using open fire to fulfill their needs, to do some sort of work that was required for their day-to-day life. Then it was further improvised to tamp fire, which was used by some of the at the king palaces and at various different nodes. Further, it was made more efficient to have a more the performance was improved in some sort of having better features and characteristics, which was further led to the discovery of glass bulb in around 1600 part. So in the case of solid state lighting, the boom or the invention was done in the early 1900s when the people were working towards the improvement of these systems to get a better prospects. Now, this is very interesting to know that how the things are changed from the light to electronic application. So basically, that is, you can understand the thing of the exciting part of the electron one, that the some sort of photons or the light energy that is going onto a semiconductor material, and from there the electrons emission that is done, which is utilized for the different sort of applications which are utilized in the various domains, including electrical, electronics, and others. Light. So basically, light, we all know, basically a free energy source, that is the renewable energy source, and we know the basic features, the dual characteristics of the light, including particle nature, wave nature, that is justified by the principle itself, E equals to h nu. We know the basic fundamental principle behind that. So particle nature and wave nature, that was again justified by the various the properties of light, including propagation, polarization, interference, diffraction, and the radiation. So when we are discussing about the various aspects of light, so the three important regions that covers the electromagnetic spectrum, including visible, IR, and the ultraviolet region. So that are generally specified or made for the different sort of devices that are used for the different applications, and how we can tune their properties to be used in a different aspects, in a different sort of application part. So various sort of optoelectronics devices that we will be going to discuss here includes the transmitter part and the receiver part. So at the transmitter, optical transmitter part, we'll be going to discuss about the LEDs and laser, that is the light emitting diode and the laser diode. And at the receiver end, we have the photodetectors, that is the optical detectors, or sorry, solar cell, or any sort of other devices, including phototransistors, photomultiplier tubes, and so on. Okay, so the basic or the fundamental device that is used in an optical transmitter is the light emitting diode, that is a simple two-terminal semiconductor device which emits light when connected into the circuit. So LEDs having found at different applications because of its different aspects, working onto the principle of injected luminescence, that is spontaneous emission, while the laser that works onto the principle of stimulated emission. So we all know the basic theory of Einstein, that is the three aspects of this light emission theory, that is absorption, spontaneous emission, and the stimulated emission. So LEDs are, because of its simple circuitry, ease of working, and the different other aspects, they are easily utilized for the different applications, including the solid state lighting part, even in household appliances, at the different aspects. While in the case of laser one, they have including biomedical part and military applications and so on. So LEDs and laser both have system has some pros and some cons related to their working part. So laser basically, due to its features or characteristics, are utilized in different applications. The main features includes the coherence light, then highly directionality, then basically perfectly monochromatic, a very low spectral width, highly coherence, and basically coherent beam light. So these systems are generally, these features makes it the laser to be a more diversified system to be utilized for the most of the applications. While in a case of optical detectors or receiver part, we generally use PN, pin diode, avalanche photodiode, phototransistors, and the photomultiplier tubes. Okay, so as I have discussed, that LED, that is basically a PN junction diode or semiconductor diode, which works when forward biased, and basically due to its some simple circuitry and ease of handling, it is utilized in most of the solid state lighting applications. LEDs generally produces a diverse light. It is generally it is having a different phase and frequency part, and that the light beam generally diverges, so it has very broad spectral width, and so that the LEDs are generally utilized for the short range free space optic system. While the case of laser, as I have mentioned, the various characteristics, and based on to that, it is utilized for a long range FSO systems, and due to its different applications, it are utilized at most of the places for even for the military to space applications. Now there are various configurations of LEDs that we have started from the simple PN junction diode at the time of 1960s when the LED was invented, and at the initial point its efficiency was very low, even not reliable, and generally having poor performance related to that. Then after dome LED was invented, to which was having a better performance as compared to the planar LEDs, and which got a better performance as compared to the previous counterparts. Further, the boom Burus invented the edge emitter LED and the surface emitter LED. So, which was basically a heterojunction LED consisting of the advantage of both third, fifth group material and allowing the different sort of things to get a better features, better characteristics, including the brightness, including the quantum efficiency, including the other parameters. So in most of the cases, the edge emitting LED, edge emitter LED, or surface emitter LED was used for the different sort of applications. Besides that, there was one more configuration of LED, that was the superluminescent LED, that was the high power LEDs. So I was discussing about this feature: absorption, spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission. See, we all know about these fundamental terms and equations, that when a photon electron lying onto the ground state, it absorbs some photon of energy and reaches to the excited state. And since excited state, that is unstable and its time period is only some few nanoseconds, so it comes back to the ground state, that is the spontaneous emission, releasing that photon of energy. Sometimes it happens when we strike one more photon of energy to push, to stimulate, to come back to the ground state, that is the status of stimulated
Excuse me, sir. Your voice is not audible, sir. Hello? Hello, Dr. Saru? Hello, Saru? Hello? Hello, Dr. Saru? Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. I think due to that net connection, it is not audible. Oh, no need to reconnect. You can mute and unmute. I will check. I will check. No, sir. No. It is not audible. I think you can plug. No, not audible, sir. It is muted. You can check. You can unplug it, and again you have to plug it. Can you able to open the comment box? No. Wait, sir. I will check. Yeah, your video is visible, but wait, sir. I will make a. Now it is audible, sir. Can you able to hear through Zoom? Hello. Yeah, can you able to listen my voice through Zoom, sir, or through phone only you can able to listen? Hello, is it audible? Hello. Oh, you are not yet able to getting it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You can plug it and again you have to join. You first you make a post to me. So. Yeah, yes, sir. No problem. Just you have to click on my co-host option. You have to make a host. Yeah, actually, more option is there now. You will move on my more option. You you are making a post to me. Yeah. Just now you have to quit from the Google, Zoom, again you have to connect. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. You can leave and again you have to connect. Your video only we can able to see. Again you have to connect. Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute. I will check. One minute, sir. Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute, sir. One minute, sir. 1 minute.
Your voice is clearly audible.
My voice is audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute, sir. I will.
Am I audible?
Sir? Hello?
Am I audible?
Yeah, now it is audible, sir. You can continue. I made your co-host to you. You can continue now. Due to network issues, sorry for that disturbance. You can proceed, sir.
Okay, so can you tell me where I was stopped at that time?
Now it is visible, sir. Your slides are visible.
No, that is fine, but where the audio was gone? Can you tell me?
What, sir?
Means where I got disconnected.
Yeah, that previous slide, sir. Previous slide. You can move on previous slide. Yeah, from this onwards, you can continue.
Okay, fine. So sorry for the disturbance once again. I was discussing about the laser part. So we all know the basic equations, Einstein equations, that was dealing with the optical absorption, spontaneous emission, and the stimulated emission. So we know when a photon of energy strikes to this electron part, then it gains that energy and reaches to the excited energy, excited electron state. And basically, we all know that the excited state is the unstable state. So basically, after some time, due to its unstable state, it comes back to the ground state, and due to its limited, very short lifetime, that is 10 to the power minus 9 second, so it came back to the ground state, releasing that energy. That is the spontaneous emission part. And sometimes what happens, we have to stimulate that particular electron part to came back to the ground state. So we push that energy, we push that particular electron with one more photon of energy. So when it comes back to the ground state, it releases the 2 photons of energy part. Okay, so also different configurations.
Participants, you can wait 1 or 2 minutes. So due to network issue, again he is going to connect. So sorry for that inconvenience.
Okay, let me first see whether I am able to see.
Saruk
Hello.
sir? Yes, now it is audible, sir.
Sure, I am audible, right?
Yeah, yes, now it is audible. You can share your screen.
Okay.
Okay, but if it possible, you can switch off your video, sir. You can continue through slides.
I have switched off my video. I have
Yeah,
not
yes,
started.
sir. Yeah, okay, sir. Okay, now you can share. Already I made co-host to you.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
now you can share your screen. Yeah, now it is visible.
Right.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, okay, sir.
So what is written there?
Types of detectors,
Photodetector.
photoresistors.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I am audible, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Okay, okay, fine. Sorry for the interruption again. So I was discussing about the different sort of photodetectors. So some of the configuration you might be knowing: PN diode, pin photodiode, and avalanche photodiode. So out of this one, avalanche photodiode is having a better performance as compared to the previous counterparts. Besides that, people also uses photoresistor and the phototransistor part as a detector one. So every system, these optical detectors are having the different prospects and utilized for the different specific application. And one of the important photodetector is the photomultiplier tube that produces a very high gain and have a better sensitivity and high speed performance related to the detector part. Now, one of the important photodetector that is used is nowadays having a better prospects is solar cell. So we all know that solar cell is basically a photovoltaic device that converts the light energy into the electrical one, and it is based on the principle of photovoltaic effect. So when the light, the photons of light that strikes to the semiconductor materials, so basically the emission that is done and which are further utilized for the generation of the electricity part. So Albert Einstein, we all know who has invented this electric effect phenomena that is led to the generation of electricity through solar cell, was the person behind this important principle. So initially, the solar cell were that was developed were having a very lower efficiency, starting from 4 to 6% one, but in the early 1990s or 2000, the efficiency up to 50% was reached. So the motivation behind using this renewable source of energy, solar cell, that is due to the different consequences dealing with the global warming and the climate change, and further the problem related with the shortcoming oil sources, raising power demand day by day in our industrial aspects. The need is the solar cell part. Especially we need a better high performance solar cell that can be achieved by the help of compound semiconductor solar cell. Okay. Am I audible to all of you?
Yeah, yes, it is audible, sir. Your voice is audible
Okay.
only.
Okay, thank you very much. And his screen is visible, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So the basic solar cell equations that are used to analyze any sort of photovoltaic device includes these four important parameters. That is the short circuit current density, open circuit voltage, fill factor, and the power conversion efficiency. So basically this deals with the various sort of photon flux density, the various parameters that is mentioned here. The current density at a zero voltage is called as short circuit current density, and the voltage at zero current is the open circuit voltage. So based on to these four parameters, we can determine the performance of any kind of solar cell, whether it is a heterojunction solar cell, compound semiconductor solar cell, uh, various different aspects of solar cell. Right now, people are working towards the perovskite solar cell, and the organic quantum-based solar cell. So the different aspects includes the high efficiency, less power consumption, high level of automation system, and nowadays various prospects of these solar cells are used as a solar park one, aerospace including one, various fab industry system part, and the different locations that are utilized for the better utilization of these solar cell systems. Okay, now one more device we are going to discuss is the sensors. So sensors are basically a device which converts one form of energy into another form. So sensor means which generally gives or which senses the data and gives it output accordingly to realize the parameters and which can be sent further for the processing. So there are various sort of aspects of devices, which includes the microphone, loudspeaker, and the other sort of things. So basically, sensor can be sort of considered as a sort of transducer, which is again a converting one form of energy into another form. Sensors are omnipresent and they are embedded everywhere. Even our body has 5 sense organs, and they have again the application from ground to space level. So without these sensors, it will be very difficult to achieve automation. And these sensors are utilized at different aspects to prevent the various sort of mishappenings, accidents, losses, and even get a better prospects to handle the things in a efficiently and effectively. So sensors basically plays an important or major significant role in the biomedical engineering part, where we are using various sort of surgical systems or different sort of analysis part. It may be related with the ECG, EEG signals, or it may be related with the biomedical aspects, which deals with every sort of sensing parameters to analyze and to get the proper data processing based on to these sensor output. The other domain that deals with this kind of systems includes the biophotonics part, which is again an amalgamation of photonics one and the biomedical science, which deals with the various technology, emerging technologies, including the biosensing one, tissue engineering, laser media part, signal processing, and the data storage. So these biophotonics finds its application at each and every domain, including the life science, medical part, agricultural one, and the environmental science domain. So people are using these systems, these sort of devices, to get a better optimum performance for that can be utilized for the different levels of applications. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir. Your voice is audible.
Okay, fine. In computer science domain, you have heard the various big chunk words like artificial intelligence, big data, quantum computing, these sort of things. So similar to that, there is one more aspect, that is the ambient intelligence. That means creating some sort of environment which are more sensitive and responsive to the need and presence of people. That means whatever we are trying to feel, whatever we are observing, that needs to be fulfilled in that particular environment itself. So that consists of various aspects, including the embedded system part, communication part, means we are trying to merge the 2-3 different areas to create a interdisciplinary system to get a better performance in a personalized manner. So likewise, it includes the various aspects like embedded system, where the various sort of distributed things can be used throughout the environment part, context awareness, personalized part, adaptive to the any sort of environment, and anticipatory related to the desired system. One more important aspect related to the optoelectronics device is the Li-Fi system, which is an advanced version of a Wi-Fi system. We all know about the Wi-Fi part, that is the wireless fidelity. And Li-Fi stands for the light fidelity. So basically, in future, obviously at most of the places, people have started doing research onto the Li-Fi system, that is the light fidelity, where we are using the light as a source part. So here in the Li-Fi environment, basically, we have the sort of this optical transmission system and the receiver system, as you can see from the figure itself, that how the system will be going to work more efficiently as compared to the electrical counterpart. The most important advantage of this Li-Fi system is the signal security. Nobody can hack light system, light data, right? Because generally it moves in the form of still 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, like that. So basically, it is very difficult to hack the system, hack the data, and because of that, the signal security is there, easy to handle, and overall performance is far better as compared to the electrical systems in terms of data rate, bandwidth, and so on. So this is somewhat block diagram of this Li-Fi system. So you can see at the transmitter end, we have the different sort of data which is further modulated and by using some sort of analog system. Further, the light source that is received into the at the transmitter end, and at the receiver end, the reverse operation that's going to perform for the successful operation. So basically, a Li-Fi system has a better prospects as compared to the Wi-Fi, and in the future we're going to work onto this one, as this right now it is on the research phase. So the operation principle is simple based on the LED system, that is on-off part, and since this switching part is done so faster that that data is coded in that particular format, and the data transmission is done in a parallel mode, and theoretically the speed that goes up to the range of 10 Gbps, which is very hard or means impossible to achieve in the case of Wi-Fi system, where we are working on to the few Mbps and maximum up to maybe 1 Gbps part. So obviously, when we are comparing these both systems, Li-Fi and Wi-Fi, we are getting a better prospects as compared to the wireless technologies, in which due to this better performance parameter, they can be utilized for the future aspects. So there are various applications which are used for the system, like in aircraft cabins, like you can able to see the things. Even we can access at the internet hotspot, the lightning part. We can utilize this. Even Li-Fi also works onto the underwater system, for having a better prospect for the military and navigation operations. This was the first integrated circuit that was developed, that was invented at Texas Instruments by Jack Kilby and the Robert Noyce. So why we are using these integrated circuits? Basically because of the better performance parameters, including the size, speed, power, and complexity part. So right now we know that the silicon, that is the king of semiconductors, basically are utilized to make these ICs, and because of its better prospect features, they are generally utilized to make larger scale devices based on to the different aspects or application part. So that varies from 2-inch to 12-inch wafer, as you can see from the figure itself. Now the various classifications of these integrated circuits includes the various circuit technology, design style, type, and size part. So right now we are working and even trying to improve the functionalities, the services, the features of these devices to get a better prospects in future. So these are some of the classifications that are based onto the integrated circuit technology, started with the bipolar system, and right now we are working towards the binary, ternary, and quaternary semiconductor materials to merge the two different materials to get a better prospect for the better applications, including third, fifth group material, second, sixth group material, and the other compound alloys material. So the main concern is we are trying to merge the both analog and digital system to get a better prospects in terms of performance, in terms of cost, in terms of the other features. So mixed mode system that is generally utilized using the better features of both the systems to get a better efficient part. Obviously, there are the various aspects related to the issues of this circuit that affects includes performance, area, cost, and the time for designing these circuits and getting the better aspects related to the system part. So, as I have already discussed that nowadays people have bigger expectations from the smaller products. So people generally want a device which must be have smaller, smarter, lighter, faster, cheaper, more features, more functionalities, more services. So based on to these aspects, the technology development trends have been divided into two major areas, two major subdomains. That is the Moore's law and more than Moore's law. Right? Am I audible to all of you? Right?
Yes, audible only.
Okay, thank you. So Moore's law, we all know that every 18 months, the number of transistor gets doubled. So that was the Moore's law at prediction in the early 1960s. And based on to that, the number of transistors onto a chip goes on increasing, and the other features related to the performance parameters goes on the decreasing at a subsequent level. So basically, this come to a saturation level when we working towards the lower technological node. Right now, we are working onto the 7 nanometer technology node, which will be further reduced to 5 nanometer, 3 nanometer, and so on. So basically, there comes a limitation that what will be the next strategy for these kind of systems and how to improvise the performance of these kind of devices. So obviously, the scaling plays an important role here because smaller the feature, our main concern is smaller the feature, better will be the performance, and it will affect the cost function ratio. So as the size decreases, the market goes on increasing, right? For an example, people are working onto the MEMS technology based, that is the micro electromechanical system, few decades back, but right now people have moved towards NEMS, that is the nano electromechanical system. Obviously, we are trying to reduce the size, but we are not improvising, or we are trying to maintain a trade-off between the performance and the cost factor part. So obviously, there are the various advantages that has been done in the last 10 years related to the various science in engineering level, related to the device and the product level part, even in organic to inorganic, or inorganic to organic domain, and moving up towards to the quantum level, quantum domain. Obviously, the future scaling, when we are dealing, then there will be various consequences, including the power consumption, the complexity part, the various leakage, and the various losses. So we have to take care of, we have to maintain a trade-off between these losses and the trying to optimize the performance level also for these particular systems. Sorry. So nanotechnology are in tackling most of the issues related to the societal benefits, related to the various device and the product level part. So the various aspects related to these things are trying to improvise to provide a better features and better prospects at a device level and further add to the system level part. So our vision has generally changed in the last 10 years uh, from how to build to what to build, because right now people are generally thinking about to develop the new ideas, to have a new aspects for developing, for implementing those sort of devices or circuit to get a better optimum features, and that can be on incorporated for the various interdisciplinary field or area. So that is the major challenge right now into which people are working to get a better prospects onto the different platform level. So the advanced level approach is working towards the nano part, molecular aspects part, and even towards the quantum system part for biomedical applications. So the technological approach includes all these systems which can be better utilized and optimized for the ambient intelligence part, for the personalized comfort level, and different aspects that can improve for the system. So generally the smart systems nowadays are incorporating both the features, including more Murray and more than Murray system, including the various aspects related to the communication, high voltage part, and the mechanical systems. So automation generally that includes even wherever we are using these sort of systems, they are trying to get implemented to get a better prospects at the automation level. So these are the various scopes and functionalities that can be acquired by the system with the better features and for the better interaction with the at a user and a environmental level part. That includes the system on chip and the system on level design. So these are some of the prospects that are generally utilized for the better features and the better system domain. So like I was mentioned that the intelligence, ambient intelligence that is applied for the personal comfort part and utilizing for the various system and realizing the various performance factors that is affecting in each and every aspect. So as of now, we have studied about the system on chip, where we are trying to amalgamate to integrate a hybrid system, including application specific ICs, embedded system, analog part, sensor part, communication part, to get a better design or better system realization, including in the terms of better prospects, including the application and the to work effectively and the efficient manner. Another domain is system in package, where we are trying to discuss about the video processing part, GSM radio, and trying to develop a system working onto the MEMS module part. So this is a breakthrough or advanced version in which we are trying to get a better improvised performance related to the at the system level. So some sort of things that deals with the system in package or system on chip part. Obviously, both are correlated or complementary to each other, and having a better prospects which deals with the maximum utilization, diversification, and better integration as compared to the previous technologies or the system. So these are some of the advantages related to the system that is further utilized and working at different aspects in a satisfactory manner based on to the nanotechnology system. So when we are talking about the science of miniaturization, that is making small things to get a better or improved version of the previous system, to have a proper utilization of these systems for a interdisciplinary domain one. So trying to amalgamate the various type of different systems to make a better prospects. Obviously, we are dealing with the micro nano scale system, so some circuit complexity, some aspects, consequences may also rely to the different design theories or the tools part, and which may further affect the overall system performance. Obviously, there will be some sort of failure, losses that might affect the overall system part. So in the research phase, there is no appropriate design method, no appropriate design tools, the concept. These things are even in the research phase. So basically, people are trying to get a better idea or techniques which can be improvised to develop a good or a system which can work optimum and efficient. So this is a fundamental gap between these systems, and which can be minimized by the help of these sort of systems by using the various techniques or the ideas. Obviously, the predictive modeling is the easier aspect, because at every point we have the theoretical aspect and the experimental aspect. Likewise, in the some of the parts, we all know things are either predictionistic in nature, or it may be the reliable and the prospective in terms of reliable system and in terms of better performance. So as of now, dealing with the system in such a way that its theoretical aspects and its geometrical aspects both can be improvised to get a better performance of the system domain. So in the case of predictive modeling part, theoretical aspect, obviously they are somewhat based on to some permutation and combination. They are accurate, robust and efficient, so that we can utilize them better for the experimental aspects to save energy, time and the cost part. So various sort of techniques that deals with these sort of characterization, fabrication, and requires the various system knowledge and attentive part related to the device and the product levels. So obviously these technological domains that needs to be understood for the ease system includes automation part, equipment and material parts, integration system, and going beyond to the advanced technology. So these are some of the major directions that it was nowadays are focused on to the new emerging techniques, dealing with the nanoscale part and dealing with the system which are working in a more diversified areas, interdisciplinary areas, more functionalities and working towards the various domains, including from inorganic to the organic one. So that deals with the various fabrication aspects for the each system domain level and the other even in the case of device level part, also get a better prospects. Similarly, for the architecture level, that basically focuses onto the emerging IT platform dealing with the IoT, AI, big data, machine learning type of things. So the summary of this talk is basically the technology generally are changing our life and dealing with the day-to-day activities. It is time to more things are more improvised to get a better prospects. And there are various techniques, various systems which will affect our future in just a unpredictable manner, and basically how the things can be done, improvised, or can be implemented to try to realize the things in such a manner that it will be utilized effectively and the efficient part. So the concluding remark includes any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex and violent, but it takes just an idea or technique to work in a opposite direction. Obviously, the technological progress has merely provided the means to go backward. These are some of the references. Thank you for your kind attention and sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah, this is the query session. Participants, can you have any doubt means please raise your hands. So I unmuted all the people. Participants who are having doubt means please. Please raise your hands. Any questions from participant side? Okay, sir. Sarup, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, organic LED based design nowadays we are getting in televisions and most of the displays, and so we are getting the feedback of it is burning early. What is the reason behind that, sir?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Can you repeat it?
Actually, nowadays OLED based designs displays.
Displays.
Yeah, we are getting the feature of it is burned yearly. The display devices we are continuously using means it is burned yearly.
So basically, that depends on its the displays part. If you'll see the rating part or the lifetime part related to that system, that generally affects that one. Basically, if you're choosing that particular sort of system, which have a shorter lifetime or which have performance that deals with the various factors like what you can say that is affecting its rating part. So based on to that, it might the things are degrading before time, and due to that, it affects the overall system.
Okay,
Right.
sir. Okay,
So that
okay,
is
sir. Okay, sir. Any questions from participant side? Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your presence and thanks for your informative speech. It's really helpful for researchers who is doing research on optoelectronics as well as the faculty also. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Participants, already I posted WhatsApp link, feedback link in group. Once again, I will post it in WhatsApp also. Okay, tomorrow the same session. Tomorrow 6:30 we all will meet. Okay, thank you so much for participants. Due to network issue, we are stuck sometimes. Okay, sorry for that inconvenience. Thank you so much, sir.